Practicing dog kung fu, buddy? Hell yeah, I'm practicing dog kung fu. I'm sitting over here in my damn dog bed. Waiting for your ass to give me a treat. Under my back cloth. Ooh, that felt good. Kung Fu is awesome. I'm glad I know Kung Fu. A lot of people make fun of it now, but I'm glad I learned it. I like Chinese martial arts. Wingchun is definitely cool. It's fast becoming my favorite, probably my favorite martial arts. You know, as I get older, I like Wingchun more and more. I'll have to say. When I was young, it wasn't always so. I used to think it was kind of bullshit. I thought a lot of the Kung Fu was bullshit. And I preferred kickboxing and wrestling more so, to be honest. But as I got older, the Kung Fu kind of aged with me, and I really like the Kung Fu a lot more. The Wing Chun and the Tai Chi, I really like it a lot. It's weird, because I really thought a lot of that shit was just bullshit when I was young, and now as I'm older, and almost 60 years old, I really like that kind of stuff a lot now. You know, I used to always like the real hard boxing and kickboxing and judo, wrestling and shit like that. You know, you throw someone down on the ground and kick the shit out of them. You know, it works. You grab someone's legs out from under them, throw them down, and punch them in the mouth a dozen times. Fight's over. You know, no question. You know, I like that kind of art. But I come to that kind of art through, you know, largely practicing Kung Fu and Judo and Japanese, you know, Kobudo, which is Chinese weapons too. Kobudo is Chinese weapons too. Five Ancestors nearly does the same exact Kobudo weapons that anybody could find in any Okinawan karate type school. And I'm into all those weapons. I've done them since day one. I've been doing all those different weapons, different Chinese weapons, Chinese or Okinawan, doesn't matter. Farm weapons, common people weapons, weapons the farmers would have had. But I also have some swords and stuff too. I have a Jin, I have a Dao, I have, you know, Japanese, what's called katana, you know, some people call katana. You know, if you're into Japanese martial arts, they might call them katanas or whatever, but they have different names for them in Chinese martial arts, which I can't think of at the moment. And, you know, katana style sabers, but it's largely, you know, there's only so many ways you can swing big single-edged swords, and it doesn't matter whether it's Chinese or Japanese or whatever. The technique is going to end up looking somewhat the same. So I study both. I've always studied both. I've studied Japanese sword at the same time that I studied Chinese, right along with it. I've even subsidized some of my practice when it comes to plays with Filipino martial arts. Because Filipino martial arts are great. I really, you know, they're one of my favorites, definitely. If I was a young person growing up with limited resources and I wanted to study one martial arts that kind of hit everything, it would be Filipino martial arts. Because that's what I've done with my martial arts, except I've had to study a multitude of a lot of different martial arts to get what you would get from, largely from Filipino martial arts from day one, when you would start. I like them. I mean, even I've copied them a lot, because like when I teach Kung Fu, I start people with weapons right from the beginning. When I teach Kung Fu, I don't, you know, hey, you got to learn hands first, then weapons. No, you learn weapons right from the beginning, because the weapons teach you how to use your hands. So you might as well start learning them first, because, you know, you can learn all these, you know, fancy boxing techniques and stuff, and it doesn't really matter, you know, because the thing is that all these fancy boxing techniques and stuff that we're learning in Wing Chun and Kung Fu and stuff like that, you start putting the blades in your hand, they really start making sense. You know, I like to practice with these plastic ones I bought. They add a little weight. You know, I have a lot of health issues, so I mostly just practice for my health. And these are what I used to exercise with. And you start whipping these things around, and it's like, holy cow, all the Kung Fu and stuff, oh God, this stuff starts to make sense now, why I'm doing this and why I'm doing that, and why I'm, you know, doing it really does. Because you'd think, oh, that would never work, I'd never use that. And you're right, largely, for the most part. If someone's just trying to grab you or punch you or whatever, maybe you wouldn't use all these movements like this ever. You know, you might use a more direct movement for something like that. But now, when someone starts, they have something, they're coming at you with an axe or a stick or trying to stick you or something, like all that crap starts to make sense, because man, now I'm fending something off and I'm whacking them and then hitting them with this one. You know, it starts to make sense. You know why all that crazy crap they do. You know, the different hand movements and stuff. Oh. All this, you know. That's all my Wing Chun there. Bunch of different crap. You know, I mean, it's not any particular, it's free flowing, it's not any particular form. So, but, yeah. I mean, it starts making sense when you put those knives in. You know, people see all this, oh, what good is that, you know? But when you have these knives, it makes sense. So it's like, oh, now I see why. You know, your jet arm. You know, I mean, you know, it is a block too. But think of it like that. Bang. I mean, this is just horrible when you study these knives, man. Wing Chun really becomes scary. I see some people say Wing Chun don't work, and whatever. I think it works. I know it works. I don't have to believe in Wing Chun because I know it works, because I've used it. It saved me before. You know, from people that were stronger and violent, and they're just nasty people. It's really just like jiu-jitsu too. When you get, if you get into like the Chin Na at the parts of it, because every form of Kung Fu has Shuai Jiao, which is wrestling, and has Chin Na, which is like seizing and controlling, like police techniques, like what law enforcement would use. You know, they'd do an arm bar, hold you down, bend your wrist, hold your face down on the ground, and handcuff you, get your other hand, handcuff your, you know, that kind of thing. Chin Na, you're wrestling to get control of someone's hands, make sure they're not going to pull a weapon on you. You might strike, do some strikes, some, you know, pain compliance stuff. And all forms of Kung Fu have that. You know, it's called Chin Na, it's called seizing and controlling techniques. I have that too in my Kung Fu, in my Wing Chun. But I also learned jiu-jitsu and judo, and learned other martial arts too along with it. You know, I mean, I had access to learning those things. Might as well add that into it, and it made my Wing Chun better, I think, because I can pull off all the wrist locks, all the arm bars. I can use my Wing Chun on the ground, just like jiu-jitsu, just like Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I can pivot around and move. I can pivot around on my butt and protect myself with my feet and hands. I don't know. It's not any different to me. You know, you're protecting yourself against the same thing standing up as you are on the ground. You're trying to not get punched, kicked, or choked, or, you know, have someone put an arm bar on you to where they can put you in a vulnerable position to where they can punch you mercilessly. You don't want any of that to happen. That, you know, Chinese Kempo or Wing Chun, whatever you want to call it. My teacher always called our art Kempo Wing Chun. So, you know, that's just what I call it, Kempo Wing Chun, Chinese Kempo, because we have like multiple different Chinese styles, and he did judo. He did judo and learned a little karate, and, you know, he mixed it up. He mixed his Kung Fu up. Which, you know, that's, everyone used to do that. I mean, I don't see why it's such a big deal that there were lots of people doing it. I mean, if there weren't lots of people that weren't into mixed martial arts for years and years and years and years, there would be no sport in it. It would never have got as big as it was. I love UFC and MMA and one and all that because they all have the martial arts that I like, you know. And it's not just me. There's lots of people that have studied karate and judo and jiu-jitsu all in one art. I know lots of guys that are really good at, you know, long before anyone ever heard of the Gracies or, you know. I get so sick of hearing how they revolutionized everything and everything changed. It's like, okay, people that didn't do martial arts, I guess it did, but people that actually did do martial arts and were into Kung Fu styles that kind of like, you know, had a little bit of something, or, you know, not necessarily Kung Fu, he could be into a samurai style. That they had everything too. They had all forms of wrestling, knives, punching, kicking, everything you could think of. They knew how to choke, kick. I mean, I know how to choke. I could choke somebody out fucking in seconds, man. That's part of Shin Na training, and, you know, and I learned it in judo too. You know, not only learned it in a Japanese martial arts, but you also learned it and practiced it in the Chinese martial arts. Learned choking, striking, grappling, defense against different grappling holds, how to apply grappling holds. You know, is what, you know, grappling holds, what I mean by them is wrist locks, overhooks, underhooks, wraparounds like this, underhooking or overhooking type arm bars or holds. You know, you're trying to keep someone off you, so you're doing different holds. Underhooking, overhooking. That's all there. That's all there in Chinese martial arts. Hell yeah, it is. It's there in wrestling. Yeah, I do hate that when people say that. I mean, everything changed in the 19th, you know, it's like, okay, for you they did. But I since the frickin' 1980s, so I've had wrestling moves in my Kung Fu. Since the 1980s, all kinds of throws, all kinds of chokes, all kinds of maneuvers for on the ground, whether you're sitting on the ground, sitting Indian style, knee on your knees, half standing, which that's like this position like this is a half standing, you know. And I always practiced that, from sitting like this to, you know, standing to standing up, you know, and then back down again. That's how our Kung Fu, you know, has always been like that. We practice that, as well as practicing falling and rolling and tumbling, you know, some very limited acrobatics shit, you know, nothing like Shaolin where they're flipping over 20 people in the air, but like if you slip and fall down, how to deal with it. You know, if you slip and fall down, how to roll, do a shoulder roll, and you'll be all right if you fall down. You know, that's about it. You know, I did the same kind of tumbling that, you know, that just like they do in judo and aikido. And I always did that in kung fu, as well as with our postures. Or, you know, we'd stand in our postures like you do in karate. Kung fu postures, stand there all day until your legs are up. We do those. I don't really know what they do. I really don't know that much about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu other than I like it. I went to a few classes. It was fun. I went to, what was it, Carlos Gracie, went back in the 90s, I think it was. I went to, when they were first coming around, and, you know, they were beating everyone in the UFC, and everyone wanted to see what this, you know, what ain't Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is what they called it back then. It's definitely good. I added their tactics to mine. I mean, what I was able to absorb and learn from them, I did. I didn't go on to have blue belt or purple belt or any kind of ranking in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm really not interested in it either. You know, other than it was something that I think it's cool art. I liked it. I've studied many jiu-jitsu type, judo type arts in my life. And Aikido and all kinds of different styles of jiu-jitsu. Hakaru jiu-jitsu, Kodokan judo, hybrid styles of judo. You know, guys that broke away from the Kodokan that created their own judo styles, jiu-jitsu styles. I mean, they're all good, I think. In all reality, that's what Gracie's is. So they're a hybrid judo system that broke away from the Kodokan, and they did very well in no holds barred fighting. They definitely did that. I'm really impressed with Hickson Gracie. I think that was his name. He was my favorite. Always my favorite. Because he was really great at striking. I mean, he had it all going on. Back when I used to watch him, he's like a kung fu guy, man. You know, he can kick well, he can punch well, he can wrestle on the ground well. I mean, in really great shape. He's probably flexible, too. I think he was really into yoga and meditation and stuff like that. He was into the samurai, so really anything the samurai are into is I like. Because it's, you know, it's Zen related. Kung Fu Wing Chun is Zen related. It's related to Shaolin. It's a Buddhist. According to lore, anyways, it was created by a Buddhist nun. That's cool. I love her just fucking around on this dummy like this. Not really doing any particular form or anything in particular, just kind of just riffing on it. It's like playing a guitar, riffing around on it, you know, plucking away the strings, making noises. I'll tell you what though, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or Judo or any kind of grappling art and Wing Chun are really fucking good together. Because I've always liked the grappling over the striking more, is because I hate hitting people, because my Sifu hit a lot of people, and it caused him a lot of trouble, you know, because he hit people and he hurt them pretty bad. And he always would he taught me how to hit them and hurt them, and to knock the fuck out of them. He did. He taught me how to fucking hit people and hurt them and just knock the fuck out of them. But he'd always say, Mike, here you have this technique to do this, and now this technique won't hurt them as bad, so you need this technique too, because you need to have both in case you don't want to hurt this person so bad. So he would always teach me the technique that would hurt someone really badly, and a technique that would go along with it, from whatever concept we were working on, you know. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Because, I mean, that's because in Wing Chun, what's kind of cool about Wing Chun is there are no techniques. The student actually creates their own techniques. Wing Chun is a conceptual art. So that means you also have to be open-minded with your concepts. Your concepts you don't want your concepts to become dogma, because then you lose your creativity of your concepts. Then your concepts won't, you know, like people get in their mind that, okay, Wing Chun is only a striking art. All you're doing is striking. Yeah, you're doing a lot of striking in it, but it's not all just a striking art. It's a grappling art too. You know, it's what it is. It's an art that's it's meant, you're just trying to fuck people up, and it can be very, very aggressive and violent, and you can do a lot of harm to someone with it. But you can also become so good at it to where a lot of people, there's really no reason to hurt them whatsoever, because they can't really do nothing. So why hurt them? You know. Then there are people in this world that are very, very strong. Their intent is violence, and when someone has such intent like that, what other choice is there but to injure or kill such a person? Kung Fu's difficult when it gets into the moral world, and it's tied to Buddhism, so it is part of that. There are definitely moral conundrums, and so that was kind of cool. My teacher would always teach something that, and this would definitely hurt someone. This would fuck them up. You hit them in the eyeball, you swell up their eye, knock their eye out of the head. Or you could do this: slap them good here, ring their bell really good, grab their hair, throw them on the ground, maybe smack them a couple more times, and then bend their wrist and arm. You know, he'd also teach that too. You know, instead of just snapping their arm and breaking it right away, or hitting them, concussing them, and killing them with the very nasty strikes. You know, maybe there's another way too. I don't know. You know, I always look at it like this: if someone's scared, if I'm scared of someone, and that fear is legit, and I'm not just trying to make myself scared of them so that I trick myself into wanting to hurt the person. But if that fear is real, and I can't get away from them, and then I think it's justified in hurting them. You know, I've had a few people try to kick my ass, and they weren't really too fucking serious about wanting to kick my ass, like really wanting to hurt me. They just wanted to see what I knew, see if I was tough or not. So they try something on me, and then I would do something to them and maybe get them down or do this or that, and I'd know right. Well, this person isn't really wanting to hurt me. There's no reason why I should hammer fist their neck until they don't move anymore. You know, so I just grab their hair on the back of their neck and pull them on the ground or something, and hold them down for a moment, and back up away from them. And they're kind of like, holy shit, what happened here? I don't know how I ended up on the ground like this, and this happened, and this guy was in control of me all the time, but he let go of me and backed away. So sometimes people don't come back at you when you do that. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess. And that technique works pretty good, you know. I don't know how the hell I would teach that, something like that. Because it was just, it's just something that just happened, and you take, someone's body is in certain positions, and you take advantage of it. Because I know the body so well from doing tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of exercises. That's all Kung Fu is exercises. You just learn the body. You learn balance, and you learn, what point someone tips over. Jiu-Jitsu is the same thing. They practice that constantly. So does Kung Fu. And then you practice sensitivity because you need to be sensitive, because you need to feel what the other person's doing. Wing Chun's not any better than any other art because it practices Chi Sao. Chi Sao is really, is a common practice in a lot of arts. And particularly in Chinese arts. But, Japanese arts do too, because Japanese arts are fencing arts. If you're getting into the real Japanese martial arts, not just the grappling, you get into the fencing and how to use the sword. There's all kinds of sensitivity in that, and weapons training. Aikido has a lot of sensitivity training in it, and especially in their Jo training, when they're doing the different throws from the Jo, when they're entangling someone's wrist like that and stuff, and that's all sensitivity. It's fake and cooperative, but you still have to have the sensitivity to feel through that Jo, to feel that you have the person locked up in the, I just call it the number 2 lock. And you're throwing them, or a number 3 lock, that one like this. Number 2 is this one. In my art, this is how I've categorized it. I essentially took, like, my joint locks. I used the same system that Aikido uses in the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, 8 in my Wing Chun. 8 cut Wing Chun, 8 direction Wing Chun, I guess. Bagu Wing Chun. Baji, Bag. practice on this thing all the time. Wing Chun is a cool art. So is Tai Chi, though. I'm glad I know Chinese martial arts. I'm glad I know these Wing Chun, because like some of the arts I learned when I was a kid, man, I can't do anymore. They're so freaking hard. Some of the Kung Fu I learned, I can still kick pretty good. I just don't, because my heart's messed up. I just don't have very good cardio. Sucks. Sucks having a messed up heart. Wish I had a camera over in this side. So I put my hand, this is cool. So I brush against this one. I have my hand here on this one. I brush against this one and then elbow it. And I chop the side of his head like this. One, and that pivot. Then I can come off like this too, like with the like that, kind of like a rolling movement with a palm. Boom. Then I make contact with this one again, and bang, bang. That contact again. And I keep, my fluke on it, with some downward pulling through the elbow and upward, pushing upward through here. And when I switch this actions. I pull this one like kind of towards me as I'm hitting. Bang. Because I'm always trying to pull him into my punch. That's what I'm wanting to knock him away from me, because then I'm expanding away from myself. So maybe I want to push him away from me. Maybe I want to make him trip over that way. And maybe I want to grab his wrist and yank him right down to the ground or something and knee him in the face or something. Who knows? That's what's cool, is when you have like lots of chin na, you master the grabbing hand, seizing and controlling grabbing hand. What is that, Gurk Sao or something? I don't know. Is it Jerk Sao? Is that it? I have a hard time remembering the different Chinese names. Grabbing hand, chin na. You grab their wrists or hand, pull them down like that, knee them in the face, or put them in one like this one. Like this is number 5. Chin na technique. Put their elbow down on the ground, put it there. God, does that hurt, man. Bounce that right off the ground, knee him in the face or something, or hammer fist him in the neck, chop him in the neck. Yeah. Bad news, man. You could also, submit someone with that technique too. If you get it off and where they can't roll out of it or anything, because you can roll out of it. But if you pin them properly with it, like, you have to make their elbow hit the ground hard from it. And then the wrist bend really comes. after that, or almost simultaneously, because someone could hit the, okay, they got me in this, and then they're like someone like me that knows how to counter wrist locks and how to get out of arm bars and stuff. I would automatically try to roll out of something. So the thing is, when you hit that, you have to make that and instantly hit. Their elbow hits the ground, and the grip has to be just right on that chin knot technique. People mess up the grips on them, and they can't instantaneously submit people with them. It's hard, and you'll piss a lot of people off teaching them too if they're not used to. I've showed some techniques to some people before, and they got mad at me because they're not used to that kind of technique, being submitted in that way so quickly. Oh my God, did them fuckers hurt though. Number 5 is nasty too. You can definitely pin someone down on the ground like this. And if you gotta have them just right though, because they gotta be kind of like pinned down like this, and to where their bodies is twisted up to where they can't move off of it, and then they can't really do that much, and you could it's not like it's fake when you're trying to display it because the person's cooperating with you, but in reality you only need that person to hold those positions for a moment, and those positions as they hold, because you've caused spinal reflex action in them, that's when they give up, like that spot in their neck or something, where you'll see it right there, man. They'll go like this, and you get them. Well, I'm gonna end this video. Bye. See ya.